In this story, a strange thing is that people don't talk to each other because anyone who makes a sound is killed by a terrifying demon. But who is this demon? And why is all this happening? We will find out as the story unfolds. The movie begins by showing a world after a catastrophe, where only a few people have survived. In the forest, we see a girl named Azrael picking flowers from a plant. Suddenly, in the silence of the forest, a strange sound rings out, terrifying her. At the same time, Azrael notices her friend sitting by a fire. She immediately puts out the fire and signals him to stay quiet, because in this forest, even the smallest sound is a signal for death. The demon here can hear the sound and come for the person who made it, killing them. The two of them sit quietly waiting. Then Azrael gives her friend something she made from the flowers, but suddenly they hear another sound. They become alert, trying to hide, but realize there's someone else in the forest. Azrael's friend goes to investigate what the sound was, but he doesn't return. A long time passes, and Azrael realizes her friend might be in trouble, so she quickly runs off. As she runs far into the forest, she encounters a man who grabs her. At that moment, she realizes that her friend has also been captured. They are both put into separate vehicles and taken far away. Azrael tries to escape from the vehicle but is unsuccessful. The vehicles then separate, and Azrael is brought to an unknown place where she is tied up. There are already some people present, including a girl named Josephine. Josephine uses a knife to cut Azrael's leg, making her bleed. Then the group moves away to chant some incantations. Azrael realizes that these people are part of a cult, a group that practices dark rituals and worships the demon. As they chant, Azrael sees a demon appear with a body that looks like it's been burned. Seeing this, Azrael struggles to free herself, and finally she succeeds. But before she can escape, a boy from the cult grabs her and tries to tie her up again. Azrael picks up a piece of wood and thrusts it into his neck. Blood starts flowing from her wound, and just then, the demon appears and begins to taste her blood. It then bites the boy while Azrael runs for her life. However, the people realize that Azrael has escaped and that one of their men has been killed. Azrael runs far along the forest path and reaches a river, where she cleans her wounds and bandages her leg. But then she sees the same burned demon approaching her. She stays silent and hides in a nearby cave to avoid making any noise. The demon searches for her, even entering the cave, but it doesn't sense her presence and eventually leaves. After the demon is gone, Azrael emerges from the cave and continues her journey. She eventually reaches a small settlement where some people have managed to survive by avoiding the demons. They had set up fences and barbed wire to keep the demons out. Azrael sneaks past the barriers and enters, determined to free her friend, who had been brought to this place. However, she finds the flower she had made for her friend, but her friend is nowhere to be seen. This makes her realize that her friend has been killed. Filled with anger, she clutches the flower. Just then, Josephine, the same girl who had wounded her earlier, arrives. Josephine goes to check on an elderly woman who was in a very bad condition. This woman turns out to be Josephine's mother. Afterward, Josephine heads to a church. Inside the church, many members of the cult are gathered, busy worshiping the demon. When Josephine enters, everyone leaves. Nun, who was pregnant, was also in the church. Josephine goes to meet her, and when the nun learns that Azrael has escaped, she becomes furious. The nun slaps Josephine and yells at her for failing such a simple task. At this moment, we see that Azrael is hiding beneath the church. But then, a woman finds her. Azrael doesn't panic. Instead, she fights back, eventually killing the woman. However, by this time, the rest of the cult members are aware that the girl named Azrael has infiltrated their place. Everyone becomes highly alert, as they want to capture Azrael and offer her to the demon. They want to succeed in their dangerous mission. But what exactly is that mission? We'll find out later. At this point, Azrael realizes they are searching for her. She runs to save herself, but her foot gets caught in the fence. Somehow, she frees her foot and runs into the forest. She had already made it far into the forest, and by then it was nighttime. Exhausted, she stops near a rock, but to her horror, there's a demon sitting right by the rock, about to attack her. Azrael barely manages to escape, but she realizes there are not just one but many demons around. Fearing for her life, she keeps running and eventually reaches a road. A man driving a car sees her and stops. He steps out, looking at her in confusion, and asks, "Who are you? Why are you so quiet? Why aren't you speaking?" Azrael motions for him to be silent and quickly gets into the car. The man drives off, still asking if she's hungry, but Azrael stays silent, not wanting to talk to anyone. This man wasn't from the area, so unknowingly, he turns up the car's music loudly. The noise is heard by the cult members, who soon block the road. They shoot the man, killing him instantly, which causes the car to lose control and crash into a tree. The man dies, but Azrael survives. She quickly escapes from the wreck but another man grabs her, trying to stop her from running. Azrael fights back, grabbing his gun and shooting him. She moves forward, but soon finds her friend alive. However, her friend had set a trap to capture the demons, and Azrael's foot gets caught in it, leaving her hanging upside down from a tree. At this moment, a member of the cult arrives, intending to kill both of them to offer them to the demon. As he approaches, Azrael grabs him and throws him to the ground, injuring him. His blood begins to flow, attracting the demon, which comes to lick his blood and then devours him. The demon then moves toward Azrael's friend and tries to climb the tree to reach Azrael as well. Azrael manages to free herself, but sadly she cannot save her friend. The demon devours her friend, and Azrael, heartbroken over her friend's death, runs away. The grief fuels her resolve to avenge her friend. Determined to take revenge on the cult members, she returns to the place where they reside and mimics the strange sound they often make. The cult members think one of their own is in danger and rush into the forest to help. Seizing this opportunity, Azrael sneaks into their base and even makes her way inside the church where the sister lives. Azrael, armed with a gun, points it at the sister. The sister motions to her belly, signaling that she's pregnant, implying that Azrael wouldn't shoot her. But suddenly, the sister attacks Azrael, injuring her slightly. At that moment, the cult members arrive and capture Azrael. They lock her inside a coffin and bury her alive, trapping her underground. Azrael panics, thinking she's doomed with no escape, but soon notices a tunnel beside her. However, the problem is that demons live within that tunnel. Terrified but determined, Azrael starts moving through the tunnel with only a lantern to guide her. As she progresses, she realizes the demons have spotted her and are chasing her. In a panic, she retreats to the coffin, but one demon follows and hovers right above her. The demon licks her blood but doesn't harm her, leaving her alone. Azrael notices that her hand is stained with the pregnant sister's blood, which made the demon believe she was the pregnant woman destined to give birth to the demon's child. This misunderstanding saves her life. Meanwhile, the cult members return to their tents. Azrael escapes through the tunnel, emerging outside through a tent that the tunnel connects to. Now free, she makes her way out. Back in the church, we see the sister cleaning her wounds when Josephine arrives to help her. But suddenly, they notice that one of the tents outside has caught fire, the tent where Josephine's mother was. The fire quickly spreads to the other tents, consuming them all. It wasn't anyone else, but Azrael herself who had set the fire. As the cult members scrambled to put out the flames, Azrael picked up a gun and began shooting people. Her rage had reached its peak, and she was unstoppable. She even shot Josephine, killing many cult members, and in one brutal move, she slit someone's throat. Then she made her way to the church, where the sister was alone. A fierce fight broke out between Azrael and the pregnant sister. Despite her condition, the sister fought fiercely, attempting to kill Azrael. But suddenly, the sister's labor pains started. It was time for her baby to be born. At that moment, Josephine appeared with a gun, as she hadn't died and was still alive. She fired at Azrael, but Azrael managed to dodge and hide. Then, Azrael attacked Josephine, and a dangerous fight ensued between them. Azrael grabbed a large knife and stabbed Josephine in the neck, killing her instantly. Afterward, Azrael turned towards the sister, who had just given birth, but the sister was terrified, frightened by her own child. In a moment of despair, the sister grabbed a knife and slit her own throat, killing herself. Azrael approached the newborn child and held it in her arms. Just then, a group of demons appeared. We then see the child's face. It wasn't human, but resembled a goat with a horrifying appearance. The demons surrounded Azrael but didn't harm her. They believed that the child was their Messiah, and Azrael was its mother. The demons, overjoyed, bowed before her, seeing her as the mother of their savior. At that moment, Azrael realized how important she had become to them. The Messiah of the demons was in her arms, and they thought of it as her child, viewing her as its mother. Azrael gazed at the child, understanding that, in a way, she now had power. She would enjoy ruling over these demons, controlling them. The very demons who once wanted to kill her were now her loyal servants. And with that, the film ends.